Okay, what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you some chi enhancement meditations, different types of Qi Kung. What we're going to cover here is 14 White Tiger Rare seated meditations for Qi cultivation and mental clarity. And to show you what we're going to use here, these are just regular pillows and some foam and a little thing. I use these for iron palm and different things, okay? So a couple pillows, and this is a meditation bench. Okay, so you can make these yourself. You can check the dimensions here. My wife made this one, the material on here, and these had a student make this. Okay, so this gives you an idea of the angles, what it looks like from this direction, this direction. All right, stuff you can make yourself. If you're going to teach these meditations, have enough benches for your students so they don't have to sit on the, well, different seasons. You know, the ground might be wet, this type of thing. You might not want to sit on the floor at your house, so you have a little tiny bench. Senior citizens, stuff like that, this might not be comfortable enough for them, so you might want to let them do it in a regular chair or on a couch. Okay, the bottom line is just the more comfortable you are, the better you're going to do at these meditations. If your legs cramp and you got arthritis and everything else, you're not going to be comfortable enough to feel the chi. So you might want to have a little extra pillow on top. You might want to have a pillow on the bottom because your ankle bones are going to hit the floor. That might be a little bit uncomfortable. Okay, so the idea here is to be comfortable. Now, if you're out in nature, you can substitute, you know, these things. There's substitutions for these also. You can use a pillow on the floor. You can sit up against the wall. Okay. All right, now just a minute or two about what we're going to do here. First of all, meditations are used for faith and courage. Because, again, all the moves in the world are useless if you freeze under combat. So your greatest enemy you've heard is yourself. Well, that's true. You have to conquer your own breath. See, the heart and the breath, your heart's thought, you don't breathe from your heart, but what is your attitude in life? What is your what's stemming from your heart? Are you good? And what's stemming from your heart? This will affect the way you breathe. So when you have the right mind intention, good over evil, and when you control your own breath, and your own reaction to fear, adrenaline. Remember, when you go into meditation, electrical and mechanical impulses that you hear are detriments to your higher self. When you go into meditation, loud and aggressive noises are detriments to your higher self. Okay, drugs, intoxicants, and things like this are detriments to your higher self. To you, higher self talking to you. Okay, so in our meditations, in the martial meditations that don't have macrocosmic, microcosmic orbit, mantras, mudras, and mandalas, okay, and there's lots of different types of meditation, but at Shaolin, not everybody was a fighting monk. And the 5 elders would be the best to espouse on anything Bodhidharma did, since they were the first to ever take the art outside the temple walls. Okay, so this is the meditations passed down from the White Tiger system, the leader and teacher of the 5 elders. There's 18 in this series. We're going to do 14 because these 14 do not have hand movements. So we're going to give you 14 rare, high-level White Tiger meditations for chi cultivation and mental clarity, because you'll also build the chi as you do these. Breathe from the lower abdominal muscles, in and out, real relaxed and smooth. The percentage breath combination work with any body type, any handicap, any mental mood you're in at the time. It does not matter. It will be proportionate. Okay, now by breath combinations, I mean, let me give you an example here. On the first one is 3 breaths to start, 80, 70, 50. Drift off for 3 minutes for beginners, 5 minutes for more advanced, 3 breaths to come out. What that means is you take a breath, after 3 breaths, you take a breath, let 80% out, take a full breath from that point, and let it all out. Take a breath, let 70% out, take a breath, full breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 50% out, take a breath from that point, and let it all out. Breathe normal with the tongue on the roof of the mouth, swallow saliva as necessary, and hold the posture that you're supposed to do. Now in martial, all these postures have martial meanings, but we won't elaborate on too much of what they are. Maybe at the end, and check on the time, I might cover a few of them, all right? But you're always thinking about getting attacked from the position that you're in, all right? What are you thinking about? You're shutting up and you're listening to your higher self, but you're also thinking about what position, how would you handle different types of attack from your stationary and placement position. Okay, so don't just, remember, this is martial arts. Okay, so you're thinking about how you would respond from where you are in any attack scenario, and this slows you down so that you can think of those scenarios in hypothetical situations. Okay, so get nice and comfortable. I'll hold these for about a minute each. Okay, I'm not going to do them 3 minutes or even 5. It'd be too boring for this tape. I'm trying to give you I've told you how to do it now. So I'm just going to cover the breath combination, go into the breath combination for about a minute myself, and come right out. Okay, so this first one, you're going to have the right hand on top of the left hand, thumbs touching, in your palm, in your lap, comfortably in your lap. Okay? And I want you to take 3 breaths to start, and then take a breath, let 80% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 70% out. Take a breath from that point and let it all out. Take a breath, let 50% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Breathe normal, tongue on the roof of your mouth for 3 minutes minimum, 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to do the first one. Remember, I'm only going to do mine in a minute because we have 32 of these to go through. I'm going to spend no more than a minute on each one. Make sure you take 3 breaths before you lower your hands, come out of the posture, and open your eyes. Okay, number 2 now. You touch the thumb and index finger of both hands on your knee, palm up. And on this one you want to do 3 breaths to start. 50, another 3 breaths to start. Take a breath, let 50% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 20% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Breathe normal for 3 minutes or 5 minutes. And at the end of the 5 minutes, take a breath and let 20% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. And then take 3 breaths to come out. Okay? And remember to take 3 full breaths before you open your eyes. Now we let you hear the Saturday night noises in the neighborhood from the coffee shop across the street, because this is real life. When you can learn to meditate amongst the noise in the park or at the beach, then you really know you're making progress in your meditation. Beginners must find a very quiet spot so they don't hear these noises, because you're not prepared yet to deal with it. Remember, I said all these are vexations to your higher self. But as you get stronger, you will be able to become powerful and store chi in any situation, including a fighting situation of 1 to 4 moves. Okay, this is number 3. On this one here, your hands will be palm up, and you'll do 3 breaths to start, and take a breath, let 70% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 60% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 10% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Breathe normal for 3 to 5 minutes. Then take a breath, let 20% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out, and then take your 3 breaths to come out. Most all of them have 3 breaths to come out at the end, because you don't want to come out of a meditation and startle yourself. Okay, you want to come back down into reality before you come out of the meditation, before you're ready. In other words, you've activated, through the interplay of carbon dioxide and oxygen, you've activated some chemical reaction in the brain that have been passed down through tradition to cause certain psychic phenomena, certain types of reactions. And now these particular meditations are for chi cultivation and mental clarity. So for some reason, the monks figured out certain percentage breaths that work best, along with the hand postures, to trigger the chi to have the best possible effect for the meditation. Now, because we don't think of the microcosmic or macrocosmic orbit, or because these are martial meditations, the hand positions all have martial meaning. You're pinching something, okay? You're grabbing a sword, or you're coming over a 2-hand lapel grab to break down and push up. You're blocking, okay? Or you're in a position here to up block. In other words, whatever the posture is, in your imagination, you're thinking of martial reasons. Now, if you're not thinking of martial reasons, then you're not getting the most martial benefit out of your meditations. And remember to take 3 breaths before you come out. Okay, number 4. It's 1 breath to start. 90, 70, 50, 30. Drift off 3 to 5 minutes. And 30 to come out. So, take a breath at 90% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath at 70% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 50% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 30% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Breathe normal, 3 to 5 minutes. And then take a breath, let 30% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. And then come out of the meditation with 3 breaths. Your hand posture like this. When you're in a meditation and you hear a car go by, when you hear a siren, when you hear a cat or dog disturb you, what the heck are you thinking about? It's a vexation, it's battle, it's war. Okay, you have to know how to neutralize energies around you and still keep your own center, still keep your own calm. So the way these meditations build your mind and your faith and your courage is because you have to hold the meditation with just the right degree of pressure. If you're too tense, then you're nervous. If you're too loose, you're nervous. Okay, your hand posture, the control you have, like a brain surgeon has over the control of where he's working on a neuro brain surgery. You can't have shaky hands. You can't be a little off. You can't be out of control. It's like when the adrenaline hits you. Do you fall apart? Do you start to shake? Do you start to tremble? Are you out of control? If you're out of control, your breath is out of control. And take your 3 breaths before you open your eyes. It's number 4. Okay, this one is number 5, and it's 1 breath to start. Then take a breath, let 20% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 5% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Breathe normal, 3 to 5 minutes. Take 3 breaths to come out. And 3 breaths to come out. Okay, this is number 6. 1 breath to start. Then take a breath, let 20% out. Take a breath, let it all out. Take a breath, let 50% out. Take a breath, let it all out. Breathe normal, 3 to 5 minutes. Then take a breath, let 5% out. Take a breath, let it all out. And take 3 breaths to come out. And do all that from this position here with your eyes open. In a situation where you're fighting, you obviously don't always have your eyes closed when you're attacked. Sometimes your eyes are open, and sometimes you're going to see all kinds of horrendous things with your eyes open, and you have to be unattached. You have to look through things, look beyond things. So on that meditation, if you're in a closed room, focus on something close in the room and focus on it, like we did with the 10,000-pound rooted horse training, heavy horse training in tape 1. But you have to be able to look through something. And that means thoughts will go through your head, but you'll still focus on one thing with your eyes open. In other words, when you're in a fight, you don't look at your opponent's eyes, do you? You look at the chest. Just see the whole body. Kind of in a hypnotic state, you watch the chest, you can see the arms move, you can see the appendages move, you can see the footwork coming off. The eyes don't beat you up as much as hands and feet. Okay, so rather than play mind games, when you get serious about fighting someone, then you just look at the center of the chest and you'll know what you have to do. It's a courtesy to look someone in the eye. When it gets down to fighting, that's no longer necessary. Because you can be hypnotized when somebody's looking at your eyes. You can be faked out. And 3 breaths to come out. Okay, this is number 7. This is the most practical of all 14 because you can camouflage into any environment and do this one. There is no breath control. Your hands on your lap, palms down, and just breathe normal. 3 to 5 minutes.
How do I know if I'm doing my meditation correctly? If I'm doing it right? Like I'm sitting there, how do I know it feels right?
Okay, nobody knows the height of another's joy nor the depth of their sorrow. Nobody reads another person's thought. There's never been a person alive that can read a human being's thoughts 100%. Okay, and we have free will, and nobody controls you. You make your own destiny. You make your own decisions. Like my teacher once said, Great Grandmaster Du Wei, the truth or false is in the ocean of your own mind. Okay, and take 3 breaths to come out. That's number 7. Okay, this is number 8. Take 1 breath to start. Take a breath, let 70% out. Take a breath, let it all out. Take a breath, let 50% out. Take a breath, let it all out. Take a breath, let 5% out. Take a breath, let it all out. Breathe normal 3 to 5 minutes, then take a breath, let 90% out. Take a breath from that point and let it all out. And you'll do all that from this posture here. Make sure you take 3 breaths to come out. Okay, number 9. This one is 1 breath to start. Take a breath, let 70% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 30% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Breathe normal 3 to 5 minutes and 3 breaths to come out. And you will do all that from this posture here. On these, you're going to usually feel chi in the palms, in the fingertips. Okay, because you feel chi with your feet, the bottom of your feet. You sense the chi from the center of the earth. Okay, the gravity in the center of the earth. The center of the earth is part of our sun. So our center of the earth is the gravity that is actually stronger than the sun's gravity on us, on our bodies. Otherwise, the water would fly off into space in the oceans. Why would humans be able to stay? Why would cars stay on the road? Why would a human be able to walk? Okay, because the immediate center of the earth, which is hotter than the surface of the sun, heat is a magnet. Wherever heat travels through space, it collects dead bodies like a vacuum cleaner. and it pulls them into itself. But the center stays hot while the outer layers cool. And when they've cooled to a certain point, they will then fix their orbit around whatever body or nearest sun is nearby, because all planetary bodies will rotate around their nearest sun. So is it any different with the Earth and man? See, our gravity comes from the Earth, so we feel that with our feet. That's why the classics say you root with your feet and you fight with your hands. See, I wouldn't use my foot to punch your head, and I wouldn't use my hand to punch your foot. Most of the time, there are exceptions. But primarily, your hands are your greatest fighting weapon. It doesn't matter if your legs are 3 times stronger, because your hands can develop quantum speed that can make up for the difference. Speed equates as power. And your hands are much quicker to get to the most lethal target, which would be the skull. And take 3 breaths to come out. That was number 9. Okay, number 10 is 1 to start. Take a breath, let 70% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 30% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Breathe normal. Same breathing sequence as number 9, in the opposite hand posture. And remember, 3 breaths to come out. That was number 10. Okay, number 11 is 2 breaths to start. Take a breath, let 50% out. Take a breath from that point and let it all out. And do that from this position. Breathe normal for 3 to 5 minutes. 3 breaths to come out, and do that from this position here. And 3 breaths to come out. Okay, we're going to start number 12, and what I've done is purposely switched the seating arrangement here to show you that you don't have to be locked into one type of sitting. You can also use the meditation bench with your knees folded in, and you can also do these sitting on a couch or a chair if you teach these to elderly people or people with arthritic conditions or different types of limitations. Then the chair might be the way to go. Okay, so make it practical. That's the point we're trying to show you, and the versatility. Now we're on number 12, and this is 1 breath to start, and then take a breath, let 30% out. Take a breath from that point and let it all out. Breathe normal, 3 to 5 minutes, and you'll use this position here, the opposite of number 11. It's not necessary to do all 14 of these in a row. That would be a super marathon meditation. Every day you want to do at least one of these because you want to build to strengthen your mind and you want to cultivate chi. The best thing to do is to remember, learn all these and do whatever one you're in the mood for. Certain postures will feel right for you in the moment. Certain ones will be your favorite. So go with your feeling about something. Go with the mood you're in. If you do things when you're in the mood, remember, if you're going to be a martial artist, you're going to be a martial artist for the rest of your life. It's a way of life. You don't turn it on and turn it off. You are a martial artist forever. Okay? So you have time. Okay? Time is only squandered when it's buried in neglect. Okay? So when you start to forget one of these or they become unfamiliar, work on the one that's unfamiliar. If the ones are familiar to you because they're your favorite, work with those on a regular basis, but when you start to forget the others or neglect the others too much, go back and pick one that was difficult for you or a little hard for you and work on that one, lest you get rusty and pick and choose too much, because they're all valuable and they'll all bring you different benefits. Okay, and 3 breaths to come out. Okay, number 13 is 3 breaths to start. Take a breath, let 70% out. Take a breath from that point and let it all out. Take a breath, let 30% out. Take a breath from that point and let it all out. Breathe normal for 3 to 5 minutes from this position here. Remember, the principle is you can do a variety of things at once if you're not attached to any one thing. While you do need to do certain things with a lot of focus, at the same time you'd be quite unhealthy and boring and very narrow-minded if that's all you can do is focus on one thing and you couldn't walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. In a fighting situation, you might be fighting 5, 10 people at once. You might be fighting one person with a crowd of 300 people cheering against you. You must be able to block these things out. You cannot ever let your eyes off the opponent. So by being able to take in the whole vision of things, you can see peripherally what's going on. It teaches your mind to see peripherally everything that's going on around you. So it's a little different. Okay, and take 3 breaths to come out. And that was number 13. Okay, on number 14, this is 3 breaths to start. Take a breath, let 3% out. Take a breath from that point and let it all out. Take a breath, let 10% out. Take a breath from that point and let it all out. Breathe normal for 3 to 5 minutes. And you do this posture here, the opposite of number 13. Okay, now we're going to do 18 standing white tiger meditations for chi cultivation and mental clarity, and you will get all 18 on this. But all 18 of these share the same breath combination. So to save time, I'm going to explain it on the first one, and then I'm merely going to hold each posture for about 15 seconds. So I'm going to explain the breath combination on the first one, and then I'm not going to explain them on the other 17 because they're the same. So every time you do a new meditation, then start your breath combination in the posture from that meditation. Okay, so for number 1 in the series of 1 to 18, you hold this posture here, right hand on top, thumbs touching. Okay, and you do this with your eyes closed, but take 3 breaths to start, and then take a breath, let 90% out. Take a breath from that point and let it all out. Take a breath, let 80% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 70% out. Take a breath from that point and let it all out. Take a breath, let 50% out. Take a breath from that point and let it all out. Breathe normal, tongue on the roof of the mouth, swallow saliva as needed. And I will hold each of the 18 postures for about 15 seconds. Now that you know the breath combination, you do each one breath combination in the posture that I demonstrate for 3 minutes to 5 minutes. So in other words, each meditation will take you 3 to 5 minutes. If you really want to stretch these out, do the breath combination for 5 minutes, and then hold the posture another 5 minutes. So 10 minutes if you're in the have a lot of time, you're in the mood. Otherwise, you from the posture, just go right into your breath combinations, and then after 3 to 5 minutes you can come out. And I'm only going to hold each posture for 15 seconds because you have the instructions you need to go through all these. Okay, number 1. Okay, number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. Number 6. Number 7. Number 8, thumb and index. Number 9. Number 10. Number 11. Number 12. Number 13. Number 14. Number 15. Notice the thumb and index on the bottom, touching. Okay, number 16. Okay, number 17 is in 3 parts. So you hold each part for, a minute and a half or so when you're actually doing it, but I'm not going to do that, so. It's the first part. Say 2 minutes like this. And then 2 minutes out. And then another 2 minutes from this position here. Approximately 3 to 5 to split up the time between those 3 postures. Okay, number 17, a different angle. Split up the time between this posture here, this posture here, and this posture here again. Then do that with your eyes closed, remember. Number 18. Okay, remember the easiest way to meditate is lying on the ground. Next easiest is seated. Then you start to stand up. And then after the standing, you start to move around. First moving with no footwork and then moving with footwork. So it's a graduation of sequential steps. Now, on the standing meds, what's nice with them is a lot of times you're walking through the woods or different weather conditions, or you might have a suit on, or it might be inopportune time to sit down. So you can stand up. If the ground's wet or you're in the woods or something, or sand, you might not want to sit down and do a seated med, and you might not want to lay down. So the standing meds are very, very practical when you can't sit down or lie down. Okay, now I'm going to show you one level of the rare vibrating palm. This one is 3 breaths to start, then take a breath, let 50% out, take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 5% out, take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 10% out, take a breath from that point and let it all out. Breathe normal in this posture here, right hand on top, thumbs touching, for 3 to 5 minutes with your eyes closed, tongue in the roof of the mouth. And then lower your hands and do these moves here real slowly for another 3 to 5 minutes, repeating them over and over for 3 to 5 minutes. Now, I'm only going to do just a few seconds of these, just to give. I'm going to do one of each leg, just to give you an idea. Okay? This is called Monk Begging for Rice from the Mu-Hing system. Vibrating palm. Learn these with your eyes open and then do it with your eyes closed. And on these will be very difficult for you to do with your eyes closed. You'll feel tremendous chi on this on your hands. So you repeat that sequence for 3 to 5 minutes. The slower the better. Once with the left foot and once with the right. This is one of the more powerful ones. My first orientation into this vibrating palm was having a Grand Master have his hand a foot away from my stomach. And he could move all the liquid in my body from a foot away to where it just felt like it was bubbling out of control. It was one of the strangest things I've ever experienced. But from a foot away, just sending the vibrating palm into my lower ab area, I could feel all the liquid in my stomach just like it was bubbling. And it was a very strange feeling. So practice the vibrating palm. Now on all these, if you want to use Dit Dao Jiao before and after the training, before each med, 3 or 4 drops on the palm will pull the chi to the surface of the skin. And I do have a student chiropractor, acupuncturist, a couple, Dr. Knowlton and Dr. Anglin, that study with me in Missouri and Oklahoma through home study. Dr. Anglin has done studies with an EMI invented by John Amaro. This is an electronic meridian imaging unit that picks up the chi in the points. And they used a controlled experiment with the vibrating palm and in an actual scientific experiment, and found that it actually did raise the chi levels just like it's supposed to according to oral tradition. And the Jiao made the points, wherever the Jiao was put on the points, the meter went up 50 to 60, sometimes 70%, which verifies our oral tradition that the Dit Dao Jiao will pull the chi to the surface points. So while you can move chi with acupuncture and acupressure, you can also do it with your thoughts, and you can do it with the Dit Dao Jiao. Okay, now we're going to do the shattering palm. Now the shattering palm is another type of iron palm, and we used to practice breaking. When the Grandmaster taught me this one, we would practice breaking little tiny granite rocks about a 1/4 inch thick. And you start with 3 of them on the palm and try to chip them. And then we would put them on the ground in little pizza pan, flat on the ground, and try to break it. The little tiny rocks. Okay, so that's how I practice this meditation when I want to use this meditation here. The shattering palm, rock breaking technique. Okay, 3 breaths to start. Then take a breath, let 90% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 10% out. Take a breath from that point and let it all out. Take a breath, let 5% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Do this one with your eyes open. If you're indoors, you focus on something close indoors. If you're outdoors, look at the horizon. Feel the chi pass between the hands. Do that for 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, and the last segment on this tape, I'm going to share 9 rare, high-level seated iron palm meditations that I inherited from Great Jiangxi Wei of the White Tiger system. There were 18 in this series, and they were valued at $2,000 a piece, $36,000 for the set of 18. I'm going to share 9 of them with you on this tape. The first one is called lotus position. Now, you know how to breathe by now, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the breath combinations, and I'm not going to hold the postures very long. Try to save tape and get more information on here for you. The first one is called lotus position, and it is actually number 1 of the 18. This one is 3 breaths to start, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. Okay, so you know what that is now. So from this posture here, you take 3 breaths to start, then you take a breath, let 50% out, take a breath, let it all out. Take a breath, let 40% out, take a breath, let it all out. Take a breath, let 30% out, take a breath, let it all out. Take a breath, let 20% out, take a breath, let it all out. Take a breath, let 10% out. Take a breath, let it all out. And breathe normal for 3 to 5 minutes. And then take 3 breaths to lower your hands. Okay, this is number 2. Called 10,000 Buddha. This one is actually number 3 in the series of 1 to 18. I just pick some at random. This one is 3 breaths to start, then you take a breath, let 70% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 50% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Breathe normal for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then after that, you do these moves here for another 3 to 5 minutes. So you do the breath control with your hands like this, 3 to start, 70, 50, and then with your eyes closed, you'll do these moves here. Up and down for another 5 minutes at this speed here. Breathing normal. And you lightly touch and then you come back up. Repeat those moves. Number 3 is Stars in Heaven. This is actually number 6 in the series of 1 to 18. This one's 3 breaths to start, 60, 30. So 3 breaths to start, take a breath, let 60% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 30% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Breathe normal for 3 to 5 minutes from this posture, and then go into this posture here. Okay, so from this posture here, you're just going to open and close very slowly for 3 to 5 minutes. And after 3 to 5 minutes, this posture here. 3 breaths to come out. All right, this is number 4. Which is actually number 7. It's called the monk's form, number 7 in the 18 series. This one you do with your eyes open, 3 breaths to start, 70. So take 3 breaths to start, hold this position here, take 3 breaths to start, then take a breath and let 70% out. Take a breath from that point and let it all out. Do this one right from here. Okay, and number 5 of the 9. This one is actually number 11 in the series of 18, and it's called Moon in Heaven. It's 2 breaths to start, 55. So 2 breaths to start, take a breath, let 50% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 5% out. Take a breath from that point and let it all out. And you do all that from this posture here. Take 3 breaths to come out. That's number 5 of the 9. Okay, number 6 is monk fanning. This is actually number 12 in the series of 1 to 18. This is 2 breaths to start, and then you take a breath, let 30% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 40% out. Take a breath from that point, and let it all out. Then you do the breath combinations on that one from here first, and then you go into these moves after 3 to 5 minutes. Learn these with your eyes open at first, and then you can learn how to close them after. Hold this posture here for 3 to 5 minutes with your eyes closed. And then take 3 breaths to lower your hands when you come out of the meditation after 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, this is snake gliding on the grass. And it's number 14 of the 18. This is 4 to start, 80-20. Eyes closed on, so you do the meditation from here, 4 to start, then take a breath, let 80% out, take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 20% out, take a breath from that point, let it all out. Breathe normal 3 to 5 minutes, and then do another 3 to 5 minutes of this move here, very, very slow. Hold this posture here for 3 to 5 minutes. Middle finger and thumb. Three breaths to come out. Okay, number 8 of the series of 1 to 9 high-level iron palm seated meds is called Golden Dragon. It's number 16 on the series of 1 to 18. And this one is 1 breath to start, 30-40. Okay, one breath to start. Take a breath, let 30% out. Take a breath from that point, let it all out. Take a breath, let 40% out. Take a breath from that point and let it all out. Then you're going to breathe normal for about 3 to 5 minutes. There's different ways you can do this. You can go right after the percentage. You can go into the moves if you're in a hurry, and so that the whole thing only takes you 3 minutes. If you're in a little less hurry, you can go right into the moves after the breath combinations and go 5 minutes. Okay, if you have a little more time, do the one breath to start, the 30-40, drift off for 3 to 5 minutes, and then another 5 minutes just to do this one move. That's how slow you're going to go, 3 to 5 minutes. So after the breath combination from here, then you do this move here. Now I'm going to do it a little faster, but this is what you'd be doing. Take 3 breaths to come out. And that's the golden dragon. Now we're going to do the last one, which is number 15 on the series of 1 to 18. It's called Clouds in Heaven. On this one, the palms will be up. Now you have to watch my hands carefully. Okay, so I'm going to take 3 breaths to start, then take a breath, let 60% out. Take a breath from that point and let it all out. Take a breath, let 20% out. take a breath from that point and let it all out. Breathe normal for 3 to 5 minutes, and then you'll spend about 45 seconds on each one of these hand postures here, starting with the thumb and index. Your eyes are closed. I'm not going to do it the full length. Then you go to thumb and second finger. Thumb and third finger. Thumb and middle finger. And back up to thumb and third finger. Then thumb and index again. And then middle finger and third finger curled into the palm. And hold each of those postures for 30 or 40 seconds. And then take 3 breaths. Come out. Okay, and that concludes these 9 high-level iron palm seated meds. The way the Grandmaster used to test my iron palm and how it was coming along was to do these different finger control techniques that you're seeing in these meditations. And when you can do these with no shakiness, no tremors, not too stiff and not too loose, just the right amount of control, like someone who's a brain surgeon or a fine artist that needs steady hands. Okay? So what happens is when you break coconuts, after you do something that traumatic, it's very difficult to hold the hand out there like that. The hand is kind of traumatized when it cracks the skull, when it cracks a coconut, especially 2 or 3, 4 in a row, different breaks. The hand is in a state of trauma almost. The more you build up your chi, the more you can break in a row. I've broken up to 10 coconuts in a row, 8 in a row with no support hand. So the idea is to build up your chi, because in a fight you might not just have one skull to crack, you might have 4, 5, or 6, or 7 people to deal with. So your hand has to be able to break multiple times and go right back into writing calligraphy just like nothing happened. That's what we all try to work for. That's what we try to strive for, is control of the emotional content. To be able to turn it on and off at will. Extreme intensity to complete calm, and anything in between. Your spirit and your mind are one and the same. Hope you enjoy this tape. This would be the ultimate tape, number 4, for anyone who wants to add authentic 5-elder internal meditations to improve their striking ability, chi cultivation, and mental clarity.